I have a funny voice because I'm at the end of a cold. But
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is Michelle Jacoby. My name is Michelle Jacoby, and I own DC Matchmaking, a small boutique matchmaking company in Washington, D.C. I also run the Matchmakers Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization for matchmakers and dating coaches all over the world. And I'm also a dating coach. And this is my very first blab. I'm so excited. And I have 3 of the top matchmakers in the country who are going to join me on our first blab. It's the first blab for all 4 of us. So I know we're going to make mistakes, but I'm hoping that we do a good job and that we give you great content. So if you're followers, if you're following on, if you have a Twitter account, tweet out to your followers to watch. And oh, here's Louie. Hi, Louie. Hold on one sec. Louie, hi. I'm gonna let each one of you introduce yourself in a minute. I can't believe I'm doing this right. And let's see if Lori's on here. Not yet, but she'll be here soon. So anyhow, this is our first blab, all 4 of us. So we're gonna give it a try. And if you don't hear me well, tell me and I'll stick in earphones, but they give me a headache. So I'm gonna try to do it without headset. And if anybody wants to ask questions while we're on here, oh look, Rita's on and Afton's on. Hi, you guys! It's so exciting. Let's see, Melanie's on. Hi, Melanie. This is so cool. So let's see who else is here. Dawn. Hi, Dawn. I see you're there. This is so exciting. All right, so I will pass this over to Lisa, and Lisa, you can introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your business, and then we'll go to be on here soon.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. This is really fun. I'm Lisa Darsenval Amador, and Michelle and I go way back to college. She has taught me everything I know. The reason I am a matchmaker in Santa Barbara is all because of Michelle. I love you, Michelle.
Thank you. I love you too.
She's awesome. So I'm the owner, founder, matchmaker, dating coach with Santa Barbara Matchmaking. And I am also a boutique matchmaking firm, and I'm here to help people find their relationships.
Very cool. And Louie's in LA. So you guys are both West Coast. Louie, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business.
Oh my God, where do I begin? I've been doing this for almost 12 years. Clearly, I'm a male matchmaking expert, which is a rarity in this industry. And I own and operate Matchmaking VIP. So we cater to high-quality singles or people looking for long-term relationships and or marriage. And yeah, so we match singles all day, every day, just like you.
Yeah, so we all have a similar business model where we all have sort of a small, high-end boutique matchmaking model. And I think we'll all agree that this is the model we think really serves our clients best. So, Louie, do you also do coaching?
You know, I outsource the coaching. I do coaching with my clients, but I don't do coaching in general. So, a little controversial, I guess. I don't really believe in dating coaching unless it's done by a matchmaker.
That's interesting. I think most matchmakers
right now, but I don't believe in dating coaching unless you're working.
That's really interesting. We'll have to talk about that off camera sometime. That's cool. So I had some questions. I'm hoping Lori finds her way on here because I would love for Lori to be on here. But I'm just going to ask a couple questions for us to talk about, and then maybe somebody who's single will want to hop on and ask a question. But I wanted to see, first of all, we'll start with something happy. If you guys have like your favorite matchmaking story or success story, and if it's okay, can I tell mine first?
Sure.
Well, because mine just happened this weekend. So mine just happened this weekend. I was at a client's wedding on Saturday, and when I got there, I realized that it was a tiny little wedding. So I had expected this huge wedding, and there were like 40 people, maybe 50 people at the whole wedding. So I watched her come down the aisle, and of course I used up a ton of Kleenex. And then afterwards, when I saw her, I hadn't seen her in over a year, she started crying hysterically, and she grabbed me and she wouldn't let go. And she started saying, "Thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be having a wedding if it wasn't for you." And it was just so, it was one of the best moments I've ever had. This was actually a coaching client. And then today I realized something really, really amazing. So she got married on October 17th, 2015. And I went back into my database to see what day she contacted me originally. The very first time she ever contacted me was October 17th, 2011. It was the exact same day that she got married.
Oh, that's awesome.
What's the chance of that happening? Isn't that cool?
Love it. Oh, that's a great story, Michelle.
I know. I'm really still on the post-wedding high. Louie, how about you? Did you have any fabulous, happy stories?
Recently, actually, a couple of months ago, I had a new VIP client, and we have a saying in this business, it's one and done. So I have to say, he was really tough. He said no to the majority of the women that I was presenting to him up front. And there was one person that I really thought would be a really great match for him. And his name is Jeff, and her name is Hilda. And finally got a hold of her, and they met, and they've been together, and they're so happy. And I think recently it's a one and done.
That was the very first match?
Yeah, very first match.
That one and done. That's so awesome.
One and done. Those are rare.
Rare, so it's my favorite right now. I've had so much stuff.
I did that last year, and they got engaged, but then they broke up. So sad.
Oh.
I know they were together for a year and a half. One and done. I want it to be done. They were one, but not done.
Oh.
How about you, Lisa?
Well, I'd have to say my favorite is my first client. He was a little bit challenging to say. When he came to me, his heart just was shining, but he was way overweight and had horrible, gorgeous hair, but in this boy bowl cut. You've heard about him, Michelle, because he was such a challenge. Really terrible teeth. He had them fixed, and when he lived back out of the States, and they didn't fit his face, and he didn't really care. He just needed a complete makeover. And I was afraid because this is my first client. And I said to him, you know what? I love you. I love your heart. I love what he wanted. He had so much to offer somebody. He's such an intelligent, wonderful, caring man. And I said, you're my first client. I have nothing else to do but to spend time searching for you and helping you. And I want you to find love. And he is the one who I must say I didn't match him. What happened in the process is he learned that he needed to take care of himself. We did a lot of coaching together. I put him on date after date, and his third date, he just felt so in lust for this one woman. And she basically said, oh, no, you need to lose weight, and you need to, he was devastated. And he came to me, wrote me a beautiful letter saying, I know I'm not getting younger. I'm not getting more physically fit unless I do something about it. And he froze his contract, something I think we all do, to give our clients a chance to do what they need to do. And he went on a Sansom weight loss clinic, lost 70 pounds, styled his hair, fixed his teeth. And then he started getting great response from women, and he started getting happy. And he called me. He's like, I feel like I was depressed before, and I'm getting happy. I'm getting great response. And one of the nurses in the program, they fell in love. And they got married, and I went to the wedding too.
That's awesome. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Hey, Lori.
Hi. Hey, guys.
So if anyone's just joining us, this is Michelle Jacoby, and my Twitter and my social media is MJ Love Coach. And then there's Louis Felix, and he is at Mr. Matchmaker. We have Lisa, I can say this, Lisa Darsenval Amador. She is at SB Matchmaking. And then Lori Burzak just joined us from Carolina's Match, at Carolina's Match. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Hi. Lori is a phenomenal matchmaker in North Carolina. Lori, tell us about yourself.
Well, I've been in business for 9 years now, and I love working with my clients. I work in both Carolinas and Georgia, and I run a very small boutique matchmaking company. A lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to the session.
I know this is our first blab. It's very exciting. Lori, do you have like a favorite client story or a happy story that you want to share?
Well, why don't we use the example between the two of us, Michelle?
So, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great one. So someone hired me from the Carolinas. She's actually from New York City originally, really bright. Kind of looking for a CEO type, somebody who's really astute and really sharp and really fit and really smart. That was like her one thing. She wanted somebody who's really, really smart. So, you know, I was introducing her to several men in the Carolinas and Charlotte, and just didn't find the right fit. And then I called up Michelle and started talking to her about who did she have. And she referred one of her clients to me, spoke to him on the phone. We made a match. They met up in Richmond. And the next day, they both put their memberships on freeze.
Yeah, that was like a key connection.
Awesome. That was awesome. Oh, I'm seeing love. I love that.
I know. And she's been in touch with you, right, to tell you how like in love they are?
Yeah, of course, she's more verbal. Oh, okay, I'm getting feedback. Is everybody hearing my feedback or no?
No, I'm going to have to stick in my headset. I'm sorry.
Just as long as, I mean, I don't care if I'm hearing it. Yeah, she's very verbal. So she calls me up and she's all giggly and excited and happy. And of course, you know, he's kind of the quiet one. So I guess he's not really checking in with you, Michelle, is he?
No, he's not telling me anything.
Which is fine. No news is good news. That's what I always say in the matchmaking world.
That's so great. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't realize that we all work together.
Cool. What?
You know what I mean? I don't think people realize that we all work together. So recently, both of us have matched a couple of our clients. And I think that's something
right.
that you know, we all work together, and it's really incredible.
We collaborate. Yeah, one of my clients, let me plug in and see if this works. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So one of my clients
came into LA to meet one of my
clients. He just got back from LA. He went on a date with one of your clients, which is so exciting. Yeah, and that's why.
What about Neil? He came and dated.
Yeah,
she sent me one of her clients in DC. He dated some people from some of my clients.
Yeah, and I have another client named Eric who flew to LA a couple weeks ago to go out with one of Louis' clients. So we really collaborate and help each other. We all make love together.
That really doesn't
sound right.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Great. I thought this was a PG show.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely, I have to tell you, it's a selling point, you know, for my clients that we're doing a nationwide search. Like I recently had this South Asian Indian woman hire me, and I'm doing a national search for her. So we had like gorgeous photos taken, like natural shots. And actually, Louis, I need to send her information over to you. I haven't gotten you her info yet. Yeah, I want you to check her out. Yeah, she's willing to travel. She's willing to relocate. Why not, right?
Yeah.
Send her to me too. How old is she?
Let's make a match on Blab.
Let's make it happen. Let's do this. Oh my God, I love that idea.
Oh,
right?
yes.
I mean, we need to get permission.
I have an incredible 37-year-old CEO who's gorgeous, six-pack, takes care of himself. He's awesome. So if you have any incredible women, I'm sure that he is in New York all the time.
Oh, I have a hottie. She's 32 and Russian and really brilliant. She's an economist.
Wait, Louis, I'm next door. I have got fabulous women. Hello.
I'm going to send you his profile, and then you'll connect, because he's really incredible.
Yes.
Important guy, New York, grew up in New York, really great guy, lives in Solana Beach now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we need to do? You know what we need to do on a future Blab? We need to like get permission from each of our clients and literally hold up their photo and talk about them and have like this huge audience like call in and and say, oh, I've got a friend. I mean, talk about like community, organization. That's like the way to do it. Totally.
Yeah.
I may have one or two clients who would do that, but most of my clients are very private and they would never go for something like that.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm in DC. Privacy is like a big deal. I actually asked some of my coaching clients if they would do a Blab with me, and they said, and one of them said yes, and two were thinking about it. Everybody's so private.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you guys want to, we're all together here, so what should we talk about? I wanted to ask you about since there are people watching and there are also going to be people on the replay who are single, I wanted to talk about which kinds of clients that we have that are most likely to be successful and find love. What do we look like when what do we look for when we're looking for a client? And what kind of client do we stay the heck away from because we know we won't be successful? So who wants to go first?
I can tell you the client.
We can at the same time. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that realistic expectations, of course, is going to be number one for me. So I want to get a sense for if who they're looking for is going to be looking to meet them as well. That's really important. I think sometimes people lose sight of who they can really attract. So, sometimes we get the client that wants to meet Brad Pitt, and you say somebody like Brad Pitt, they say, no, I want to meet Brad Pitt. So that's not really realistic, of course. But, working with them through those expectations is super important, I think, are also the most successful clients. I met with a woman today, and I was really pushing her on age range. She's beautiful, successful, accomplished, 3 grown children. She's 53. She looked great for her age, but typically we look for that 10-year minimum age range up. And really 52, 53 was her cutoff. No, actually, 51, 52. And I was trying to get her up to 53, 54, 63, 64, sorry. But sometimes it's, trusting in your matchmaker, which is why people should hire us in the first place. To help them understand what's best for them. Because I think sometimes people need to realize that a certain percentage of why they haven't met the right person is because of them, and a certain percentage is because of who they're meeting. And we need to figure out what that percentage is on each side with them as matchmakers. So figuring that out and helping them find that perfect person is really the key, I think.
Do you find that because people are paying us and they're hiring us, that they think all of a sudden, if they're a 6, they can date a 10 or a 9 because they're paying us and we have magic powers?
We can finish each other's sentences because I knew exactly what you were going to ask and your lips started moving. Absolutely. People think just because you're paying a matchmaker that you're going to give them exactly what they're looking for. But guess what, people? Who you're looking to meet doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best fit for you. So that's where we come in. We're going to try to balance what you think you want with what we think is best for you. And those two worlds kind of collide, and then we come up with an amazing quality match and hopefully happiness and forever after for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I had a client once who I was matching her with what she had asked for over and over again, and it wasn't working. So I asked her just to let me try something different. And I ended up matching her with somebody who was a different nationality than she had originally wanted to date, a different background, a different educational level, a different everything. And they're still together like 6 years later. Like he was even shorter than her, I think. It was, I just said, can you just trust me? I have a hunch, And I love the fact that she was willing to give it a shot. It's just 2 hours of your life.
Michelle, what you just said, what actually you and Louie both said, trust in your matchmaker is so key. So you have to make sure you trust your matchmaker, that you really like them and they like you, because we have your interest at heart and we want you to be successful and we want to work so hard for you, and we try our best to introduce you to that person. So trust is key, and open-mindedness. Definitely. Like you said, Louie, you're helping your client open her mind to expand her opportunities, because if she keeps that pool small, then she'll be reducing those great men she could be meeting. So having that open mind, that willingness to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go for it.
Just give it a shot. I have to tell you that I know Ross Jeffries just said, I'm getting my popcorn. Thanks, Ross.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I want to jump in here for a second. I have this parameters worksheet that I do with all the people when they want to hire me. I go through some things with them to make sure that I really want to work with them. And it has it's very, very specific. It has everything to do with I call it the parameters worksheet. So for example, how far are you willing to travel to meet somebody? What is your age range? What about height, education, faith, politics? We go through everything. And the more open someone is, honestly, that's how I figure out how to charge somebody. So if they're like, I only want to date like a supermodel type. First of all, I probably wouldn't even take them on because I work in the Carolinas. I'm not an LA matchmaker. I'm not a modeling agency.
Okay.
You guys out west can do that.
I've got a lot of them.
Right? You got the models. I have like the girl next door. I've got like the cute, whatever. We've got a lot of beautiful women, and you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, so, don't diss the Carolinas.
I'm not. Hey, I am not. I love my Carolinas, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, I want to know, how realistic are you about your future match? And what your real parameters are. And then I record it so that when somebody comes, and like the whole willingness to have kids or not. So we go through every single thing so that I make sure that when I actually get somebody out on a date, you know, everything's there already. Foundation's there, the look is there, the fitness level's there, like everything's there. So they can just relax and know I've basically done like the first 3 dates for someone in terms of the screening.
I have a question for you, Lori. Do you set up the second date or just the first date? I think I saw somewhere that you set up the second date.
I don't set up the second date, no. But I do, obviously, like we all do, we do the feedback conversation, and we do the breaking up after the first date. If it's not the right match, we like gently let somebody down, which is always kind of a hard conversation. Hey, I have a question for you guys. Does this ever happen where 2 people go out on a date and they report back completely opposite dates?
Totally.
All the time. It's like, what planet was this one on and that one on?
Yeah, but I had a client years ago who I had to let go because he wasn't being honest, because it was always 2 different dates and it kept happening over and over again. So he was the common denominator. He would say, I would say, well, she didn't want to see you again. And he would say, well, she kissed me. And so I'd call her up and I'd say, he said you kissed her. And she's like, I didn't kiss him.
Wow.
I've never kissed anyone on a first date in my life. Yeah, so, you know, strange things have happened. How about you guys, Louis?
Strange matchmaking dates or stories, I guess. Are we evolving to that now? I think that will be a big attention grabber for the person.
That's entertaining.
I had to use my cancel you as a client clause once, and you won't believe this. It was a woman. It wasn't a man. So most people think that men probably do things that are probably most inappropriate when it comes to dating or relationships. But it was actually a woman. We had a male client, come in and complain that he arrived to pick her up at her home for her request, and he called her and said, should I come to the door? Are you going to come out? Didn't know what to do. He wasn't used to picking up a woman on a first date at her home. So she said, yeah, you know what? Pull into my garage. I'm going to open my garage door. So he did. He pulled into the driveway, went into the garage.
I have no idea what's coming, but I have a picture in my mind.
So as soon as he pulled in, he saw, it was one of those garages that's attached to the house. The door to the house, leading into the house. He saw a little hand come out, and she pushed the garage door, and the garage door closed behind him. Okay. So he was stuck inside of a garage in his car, and she came out in full-on lingerie.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Oh,
nice.
Not even
wow.
To do our client. It's hilarious. And come to find out, the 4 other guys that we matched her with prior never said anything about it. So she'd been doing it over and over and over again.
Oh my goodness, you're kidding.
She was like the kinky client.
Wow.
Yeah, the kinky client, exactly.
So what did you say to her?
The first thing I learned is, I guess, 4 out of 5 men don't say anything about sex with them on a first date. But we have to tell her that we figured out what she's doing. It's not appropriate, and we're gonna have to sever her contract and let her go.
Wow.
Okay, so it looks like there's somebody that wants to join in. Are we doing that?
Well, no, because we're this particular blab, we're not going to let anybody on, but we can answer questions. So if anyone has a question, go ahead and type it, and we'll speak out. And it's apparently, I've been doing my blab homework. If you type \Q, it pops up as a question. Oh. Sorry, Rita's saying boo to not letting anyone on the blab. I'm so sorry. Oh. I've never done this before. I didn't think to leave a space open. I mean, then one of these beautiful, amazing matchmakers would have to go bye-bye. And
I thought you can't have more than 4 at a time.
That would be really overwhelming. No, so Rita says she's just kidding. Does anybody have a question? Who was it?
Like Mark.
Mark had a question. Can you help me find a mate?
Oh, nice.
Mark,
right,
where are you located?
Yeah, where do you live, Mark?
Where do you live, Mark?
Los Angeles.
DC.
Santa Barbara.
There you go.
Long Island. He's in Long Island. All right, listen.
Hey, Michelle.
Mark Balling. What you got to do is email me at mj@dcmatchmaking.com, and I will refer you to someone really, really, really good in New York City. How's that? Or in New York. Because we have a lot of friends who are matchmakers all over the country. So we're all members of the Matchmakers Alliance. We go to a matchmaking conference every year together. This year we're cruising to Mexico.
Woo-hoo.
And we get to be really good matchmakers all over the country, and we share interesting things about our businesses, to grow our businesses, and also to best serve our clients. And I can refer you to someone who's really good in New York. Yeah. Oh, Rita says she's so excited about the cruise. She's coming. She's going to be one of our speakers.
Awesome,
on
Rita.
The cruise. We're going to have Rita talking about social media and technology tools to help coaches, because she's really, really good at that. So I'm kind of pumped. And then we're also going to be drinking like serious margaritas. And Rita, how's that sound? Good? You can give me the high fives.
We're
going to be dancing the night away.
Karaoke and
so fun.
Listen,
so fun.
Ross says he'll be trailing us in his submarine. That's hysterical.
We have so much fun. I have to say, just as a side note, just for all of our viewers out there, the relationship, the friendships that we all have made through this collaboration with all the matchmakers, y'all are some of the best friends that I have in my life. And it's amazing. It's when I first, right? Oh, I know. Love. We all love each other.
I love you all.
It's true, but we can't work in a vacuum, and we bounce ideas off of each other. We're always trying to improve our practices. And that's really what it is. I have my master's in social work, but it doesn't matter, because what I really need you have to be a generalist. I'm sure, Louis, I know you've been doing this for a while now, that you would agree. It's like we need to be good at like so many things, sales and marketing and advertising and understanding people and psychology. And the list goes on.
Yeah, totally.
It's not, this is not a job for everybody.
Louis, and I met Louis when I was just brand new in the business, and he was like this. I was looking up to him like, oh my God, he's so good. He's so successful. I think you're awesome, Louis.
We all do.
We all do. So I have another question. We do our part. Our clients tell us what they want, and we assess whether or not they're being realistic and whether or not we can deliver. And I think that most boutique matchmakers charge a fee based on how much work we're going to have to do to meet a client's expectations, right? So we're really careful about who we take on, and we try to listen very carefully. But then what happens when we find what we think is the perfect match, and then our clients kind of mess it up? Anybody have a story, or just any really good dating advice for any singles who are watching this about what not to do maybe on a date? Who wants to go first? Louis, you want to go? You're nodding.
Oh, my frustration is people who just don't want to meet somebody based on a profile or a photo. So I can't even get them on the date. So forget the do's and don'ts of dating. Just getting them on the date is sometimes a challenge.
Lori, you have to stop typing because I can hear it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I think it's even people that are listening, if you've tried online dating, if you're currently utilizing the online dating systems, you really need to. Sometimes we get so used to saying no to people based on a profile and a photo that we forget what it's like to actually meet people again. So think 40, 50 years ago, and we had no internet, we had nothing, no technology. How did people meet before? You went to the Sadie Hawkins dance, and you had milkshake at the milk shop and at the burger and fries.
And you got engaged after a month, and you got married while you were in college, Yeah.
Exactly. I feel that's missing in today's day and age when it comes to meeting people. We're so focused on, all of our technology, and we're walking around with our heads down, and we're not looking up, and we're swiping on Tinder, but we're not looking up at the people that are around us. And you could potentially have the love of your life having a coffee right next to you. You'll never see them or meet them because you're so focused on looking at this. So, open your eyes and look around. So sometimes it's not even about getting on that date. I think it's about looking at how many options you actually have around you every single day.
Yeah, one of the things you said is so true, though. I think online dating's changed everything. It's like we have so many options. If you go online, there are literally tens of thousands of singles. So, this is basic psychology. When you have that many choices, sometimes you don't choose anything, right? When you have this illusion of having all this choice, you become so ridiculously picky that you end up not picking anybody or anything, or you just keep on, disqualifying people based on things that really don't have anything to do with your ultimate happiness or compatibility. It's very frustrating. And I want to tell you, I was driving by a bus stop in DC recently, and there were about 20 people at this bus stop at rush hour, and every single person was looking down at a phone, every single one.
Epidemic.
There were like single people standing next to single people, and they were some pretty good looking, like nice looking professional singles. And every single one of them was looking at their device.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know if you see the comment here. Ross says, ZZZZ, the world has turned many times since those days. I'm sure he's referring to what I said.
Yeah.
And that's true, but so is the divorce rate. Look at how much the divorce rate has increased versus 50 years ago. Look at how much technology has helped us, but hurt us so much. So I think having options is great. And I think you're correct when you say the world has turned so many times over since then. I agree with you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. Sometimes you have to get back to basics and really look at what's going on around you to get where you want to go. So sometimes technology is going to hurt us more than it's going to help us. Unless you're listening to this blab right now, then technology is awesome.
Right. I know. Right. Okay. So I just want to make a quick comment. One of the things that I always say to my clients is pick up the phone. Stop it with the texting.
No more texting. Oh my God.
People are screwing up relationships left, right, and center by texting. I mean, I had one couple go out and they were both really excited about seeing each other again. And this would have been it, except that he texted her something that sounded like a little too edgy, a little too sexual. He meant it as a joke, and she thought it was creepy.
Not funny.
She doesn't know him from a hole in the wall. And the problem is people, and they do this a lot of times people do this with online dating, is they exchange numbers, and instead of calling, they start texting. And so they it's like a safety zone or something. They jump in too fast, and it's like into the middle of the relationship when they don't know each other at all. And then here's the funniest thing is this whole emoticon thing. Like my eighth grader told me recently that, that little emoticon with the hearts in the eyes, the smiley face. Well, I send that all the time to all my friends. Apparently that means secret crush. Okay. Secret crush. Well, did you know that to someone in their mid 40s, all these emoticons mean something different? Like I sent a little smiley face with the pink cheeks to this guy that was helping cater an event for me. And my son told me that meant I also had a crush on him, a bashful, shy. I was like, that's not what I meant. I just like the smiley face. So I'm trying to say is all these different ways of communicating, they can be misinterpreted so quickly. So, how about
these guys after a first date and they're really excited about the girl you've introduced them to, and then they don't pick up the phone and call. They just sent this tentative text afterwards. It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Whatever happened to calling? So guys, if you're listening to this.
Sorry, I'll be right back.
Okay, it's okay. So good.
Dog.
I thought maybe she had to go to the bathroom.
No, it was her dog barking. Yeah.
So if any guys are watching this and you go on a date and you really like the girl you went out with, call her the very next day. Pick up the phone and call her. And if she doesn't pick up, leave a message and ask her to call you back and say to her when you finally talk to her, I had such a good time with you. I want to take you out again. When's a good time? It's just, you're going to stand out over 99% of the other people who are dating because nobody's picking up the phone anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Go old school. And you know what one of my pet peeves is when I call somebody and then they return the call with a text message. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. Call them back. Am I the only one that thinks this way?
No, I'm all about the phone call. It's so nice.
God. You want to hear the person's voice when you're into them. It's exciting.
Yeah. Lisa, is there anything in particular that your clients have done to kind of mess up your hard work?
Oh, yeah. So these are the things that don't work on a date, aside from the chemistry. I mean, how often have you thought it could be a great date, that everything was matching, but they just didn't have the chemistry? So there's nothing you could do about that. But I always try to give my clients some advice on great topics of conversation, trying to get to know somebody, asking them what kind of movies they like and why, or what kind of travel do they enjoy, and just trying to find out their qualities and their interests and learn about them. But they ask about the ex. How many people have had dates ruined because they start talking about the ex? And as much as they know that they shouldn't be doing it, it just always ruins things.
Yeah, I think nobody on a date wants to hear about the other people you've been with or the other dates you've been on. And, so this is when I coach my clients, they might say, I'll say, I told you not to talk about the ex. Why did you talk about it? And she or he would say, well, they asked. And just because someone asks a question doesn't mean you have to answer it. So my advice is if someone asks you about your ex, you just say something like, I'm an open book, and if we get to know each other better, I'll share that with you. But right now, I just want to focus on you. I don't want to bring my ex on this date. Just keep it positive. It's okay not to talk about something. Oh, Louis, go ahead.
Can I just say, can everybody see these comments? Because I am busting up with these comments. This guy, Ross, at Ross Jeffries, he is the reason why we are in business.
Ross is gone, by the way. He's gone.
I was talking to hear this. Here's the reason why we are in business. It's so true. He's saying, kick her ribs and tell her to get up and make breakfast.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Yeah, he was pretty bad. Yeah.
This is the best. Chemistry can be created. It's called Jim Beam.
Right.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take my glasses off. I don't want to read these things.
Another thing that I've gotten some feedback about is when DC is a very business-focused town, and so when we go on dates, sometimes I get feedback that we treat it like a business meeting. So even if you're not a hugger, you got to just like hug it out. When you meet someone for the first time, and that moment where you meet, you've got to give a big hug and say something really positive, like, I've really been looking forward to meeting you. It's so nice to meet you, and give a big hug. It's got to be different than a business meeting. Do you guys all agree?
Challenging though for some people, Michelle. I have some people who have a hard time breaking that touch barrier. So sometimes if they can't do that, because I want them to do the same, I tell them to put out your arms and grab their hands if that's more comfortable. Because sometimes the hug is just too personal.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just touching somebody in the safe zones, like right here. Or, don't touch like on the hand. There's certain spots that are more comfortable than others, obviously. But you definitely want to make some kind of contact physically when you first meet somebody.
Why is a hug such a scary thing? It's a date.
It's not for everybody.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. I think it's good advice though, Michelle. I'm not putting you down, but
no,
sometimes, yeah, I mean, sometimes people are introverts and they just don't feel comfortable doing that, and that's okay. As long as they make good eye contact, I think, and lean in and do everything they can. Yeah, lean in and do everything that they can to make somebody feel comfortable and, like they're being taken care of. Like Michelle, actually, go ahead, Louis.
I was just going to say, Michelle.
Say it again.
I feel so close to you.
I feel so close to you, Louis.
Go ahead, keep going. Sorry.
Listen, I met a woman yesterday who was a potential match for my client. I took her out to lunch. And when I first met her, she went to shake my hand. And I just said to her, come here, I'm a hugger. And I gave her a big hug. And she looked a little weirded out for a second. But then she said to me at the end, she said, I really love the fact that you hugged me. It made me feel really nice. And she actually said that to me. So I don't know. I think that the best things in life happen outside your comfort zone, and you just got to push yourself to try. I'm not saying that every single person has to hug, but I'm like, I don't know. Hugging is a really nice thing, but that's enough about hugging. But what else? How about who pays on a date?
The man.
Always.
Men, are you listening?
Yeah, the man always pays.
You're in DC though, Michelle. I mean, DC sometimes is a little different. Those women are so powerful, and sometimes they insist on paying half.
Which hold on. Rita just asked me a question. I'll look at it in a minute. So in DC especially, it's really important for women, especially strong, powerful corporate women, to just get into their whole feminine energy when they're going on a date. And I'm not saying you can't be who you are and you can't be smart and strong, but like, get out of your business suit and let a man pick a restaurant, let him pay for you. Some guys tell me they like the fake purse grab, but I have a strong feeling about the fake purse grab. It's like, here's the question to ask yourself, ladies. If you offer to pay and a man takes you up on it, are you going to like him less? Because if you're going to like him less, you've set him up for failure. So my thing is, if you're totally fine with him paying and you really want to offer, then you can say it, would it be okay if I contribute like that? But don't pretend to want to contribute if you really don't, because he might be trying to make you feel comfortable and say, okay, and that's not usually his MO. So do you guys agree with that?
Here, let me pipe in here for a second. So
Sure.
I set up the whole first introduction. I have a date coordinator, and we actually we ask the guy where he wants to take the woman out for dinner. So whether I have a really, really small client base, and then I have a large like database filled with free clients. I think a lot of us have that kind of model. So if it's a woman client and a man, a prospect that's just in the freebie database, obviously he's been fully screened out and background checked and everything before I make the introduction. I let everyone know in advance that the gentleman is the one that pays. And so I let him select the restaurant. And we usually base that on where the woman lives. So we're very conscientious about making the woman feel comfortable in all ways possible. And then we set it all up in advance. The guy pays, so there's no purse grab. It's like the guy is going to pay. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not everybody who's watching has a matchmaker, you know.
Right. Well, you know what? I think when the man pulls out his wallet, the woman should look at the man and just say to him, "Thank you so much. This was a really delicious meal, and I really appreciate your taking me out."
Exactly.
I tell my clients to say thank you for being such a gentleman. And then I also say they should thank him 3 times: when he pays, when you get up from the table, and when you part. I think it's so important to thank someone profusely so he feels like he was truly appreciated and thanked, you know?
Here, I've got a question. So I always go back to this. So say a woman and a man go out, and the guy's on the fence, but the woman's really into the guy. And she text messages him the next day or calls him the next day and says, "Hey, I had a really great time last night. Thank you again so much." Do you think that it will cause the guy to rethink the possibility of going out with her again if he wasn't really that into her? Or do you think that it won't sway him in any way?
I think it's a nice thing for her to say thank you, as long as she leaves it at that and doesn't say, "Hey, let's do it again."
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Louis, go ahead, because I have a strong opinion. Go ahead.
I think we all have strong opinions. You know, there's these so-called rules of dating. You know, I think if you want to text them, text them. If you want to call them, call them. I mean, I have a very different philosophy with this. I mean, if you're into each other, it's going to work. If you're finding that you're the person that's really pushing that conversation, you know, especially for a woman that really likes a guy, you have to let that man pursue you. It has to happen. If he doesn't pursue you, guess what? He's probably not interested. Mm-hmm. And that's the reality, because most men, if they're interested, they're going to pursue you wholeheartedly. And they're not going to care about rules of dating. If they had a good time, they're going to text you that night. They're going to text you the next morning. Hopefully they'll pick up the phone and call you again. Or even better, they will set up the second date the night of your first date. That's it.
I love when guys do that. I love when guys do that. You know,
sometimes, sorry to interrupt you, but let me just say one more thing. I feel like, especially for the younger folks, I feel like sometimes the men aren't as assertive as they are in the older generation, and sometimes they don't set it up, and sometimes they don't honestly know how to communicate very well, especially in the age of all this technology. So it's more unusual than not that I hear about a guy in his 20s setting up the next date.
Yeah. So I just want to speak to your question about the next day text. Mm-hmm. I really think it's important to realize that men are so easy, and if there's men watching this, you might agree with me, that men show you how they feel by their actions. So I tell my clients, you know, don't necessarily listen to what someone says. Look at what he's doing. If a man is interested in going out with you again, he will call you and ask you out again, or text you and ask you out again. But your job, someone's giving me some big high fives, thank you. But your job as a woman is to make sure that at the end of that date, he knows you like him and he knows you're going to say yes. So at the end of a date, you've got to say, you know, I had such a great time with you. This was even better than I thought it would be. You're so awesome, or something really nice. But then I feel like I tell my clients, if you've made it clear that you had a great time, let him follow up. You don't have to chase someone. If he's not calling you again, if you made it that clear and he's not calling you again, there are other men who are going to think you're fabulous, and you don't need to waste your time chasing someone who was just not that into you. I love that book, by the way. Not that into you. Really, I had both my daughters read that book. Yeah.
It's good.
Oh, we have so many people on right now. Does anybody, are there any singles on here right now who have a question? You can comment. And by the way, this is our first blab. And for those of you who just got on recently, how do you deal with the guys that seem to disappear? Oh, ghosting. I'm going to answer that with you guys in a minute. But really quickly, I just want to recap who we all are and tweet this out to your followers so they can join in too. So I'm Michelle Jacoby. I'm a matchmaker in DC and a dating coach. Lisa Darsenval from Santa Barbara is Santa Barbara Matchmaking. SB Matchmaking is her Twitter handle. Then we have Louis Felix, who's at Mr. Matchmaker, and he's in LA. And then we have Lori Burzak, who is at Carolina's Match, and she's a matchmaker in the Carolinas. And okay, so who wants to answer that question about disappearing? What do you do when a guy just disappears? Lisa, you can answer this.
Sorry, I was tweeting.
Oh, she was tweeting. Okay, so who wants to answer this? I can answer this. Okay, I'm going to answer this. So one of the problems in today's dating world is that people are unkind to one another. We don't treat each other with the same respect, kindness, and consideration that we would treat a neighbor, a coworker, or a friend. And sometimes we feel very awkward about saying, you know, I had a nice time with you, but I wasn't feeling any chemistry. So instead of saying that in a really nice way, we just never return the phone call, or we just disappear. And I had a client last year who went on, I'd say, 15 dates with with a woman I matched him with. And then when he decided she wasn't the one, he never called her again after 15 dates.
Wow.
I mean, it's whether it's after a phone call or a first date or a 10th date, you know, you gotta grow a pair and just say to somebody, you know, I had a really wonderful time with you. Thank you for spending so much time with me. I think you're such a nice person. You know, you're really smart. I love how passionate you are about blah, 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 and some really nice compliments. And then say, you know, but I've spent some time thinking about it, and I just don't think we're the right fit. And I want to be really respectful of your time. And I hope you meet somebody great. And I've never gotten a bad response. As a matter of fact, with my coaching clients who date online, I ask them to respond to every single person who sends them a thoughtful email and to say something like that. You know, thank you so much for your email. You seem awesome, but I don't think we're a fit, and I just want to wish you the best of luck. And I'd say about 90% of the time, my client will get a thank you note, because people are so used to being ignored, which I think is terrible. And, you know, the universe is watching how you treat people. I believe in good dating karma. So I hope that answers your question. But if someone disappears, you know, you can send them a little note and say, you know, where'd you go? But I call that a loving nudge. Like, one time you can remind someone you exist, but after that, you shouldn't have to try to convince someone to like you. The right person's going to really be into you, and you're not going to have to worry about them disappearing.
Right. And bottom line is, you don't want to be with someone that's going to treat you that way. And I know that mentally it's easy to, like, you know that, but it's hard once you sort of get into somebody. But you deserve better. You deserve to be treated with kindness, respect, and love, and not to be ignored. So expect everything wonderful.
I mean, being the only male on this conversation, I can tell you that sometimes it's a first date. You go out with somebody, and maybe I'm traveling on business, or maybe, you know, so it really depends on the circumstance. You know, if a woman goes out with a man once and he disappears, you know, sometimes it just depends on the circumstance. I can understand if you're dating somebody for a month and gone on 6 or 7 or 8 dates, and the guy just disappears outright and you can't reach him. That's frustrating. But I think it depends on the circumstance and how many dates you've actually gone out with somebody. Because I think sometimes both men and women create relationships in their head, and they think that they're exclusive, or they think they're seeing somebody that they're not really seeing. So I don't know. I like everything that you're saying, but at the same time, I think this is why we're in business. I keep going back to that. You know, the reality of dating outside of working with professionals like us is very different from working with us. You know, that will never happen with us. So if we actually had somebody that went on 3 or 4 dates, and then the guy just stopped contacting one of our clients, we just pick up the phone and call him and say, hey, what's going on? Mm-hmm. So I think everybody that's out there that's listening to this, this is why you work with matchmakers. This is why we're in business. We can stop that frustration that you experience when you date on.
Yeah, I had a woman call me last week. She'd gone on 3 dates with my client, and then she never heard from him again. And she just wanted to know why. And so I reached out to him, And he said he didn't really know what to do, that he usually just doesn't call. And I said to him, you know, what I suggested to him, why don't you just send her a little note and say you think she's terrific, but you've decided that you guys aren't the right fit. And he actually felt really good about me sort of giving him permission to do that, because he's a stand-up guy. He would never just ignore somebody in any other aspect of his life. So he did, and she appreciated it. And I think that he'll do that in the future. I don't know. I think even after one date, it's nice to do, but you know.
Hey, can I give it a really good example of what happened recently? Is I had this woman client, she's really fabulous, and I introduced her to a really special guy, and he was really into her. But what was happening was he was coming across too strong and a little too needy. Like, he wasn't letting sort of the pulse and the pace of the relationship just go naturally. And he was really, really trying to push the agenda in terms of getting together and meeting up and meeting in a different city and talking about going on a vacation. I mean, it was only after the second date. And she started to feel like very constricted by the way that he was acting. And as a result, she decided not to go out with him again and started to pull away. And he started contacting me, even though he's not my client. But of course, I'm going to respond to him and try to explain to him what's going on. But I wanted her to explain it to him first. So we coached her on a way to handle the situation with dignity, so that he would feel good about it, and also so that I could contact him again in the future to introduce him to future people. So it's a very delicate situation.
So when somebody's that enthusiastic and they don't know how to sort of curb their enthusiasm, pardon the pun, to like an appropriate amount of enthusiasm, because you want to be with a guy who's excited about you. You don't want a guy who's playing games and waits a week to call you, right? But there are some singles who they go way over the line, and that's what it sounds like this guy was doing. So he turned her off.
Yeah, he turned her off, which was a shame, because there was some potential there, but they never really got to that phase.
I can tell Lisa wants to say something.
I do. I want to say, this is why I love our job, because you know how many relationships we have saved because people, they don't know what to do. And the easiest thing is to just stop communicating, where it can be salvaged. And so when we're that intermediary, when somebody comes and they explain what their hesitations are, or they didn't understand something, or maybe they totally misunderstood something, and we can then have that conversation either with our client or with their date and get what their feedback is. And we are able to have them communicate, or have the two of get them on the same page so they're understanding each other. And that relationship that might have just disappeared is now going forward.
Oh, Lisa, can I tell a story about that really quick? So I had a client a couple years ago, and I set him up with this girl. And they went on a date, and after the date, we always get feedback. I get both written and verbal feedback. And he said that he had a great time on the date and that he really liked her, but that he didn't think she was into him because she didn't make any eye contact the whole night. She was looking all over the restaurant, but not at him. And he thought she was just bored or whatever. But then I got her feedback, and her feedback was she had a great time, and she thought he was terrific and would love to see him again. So if I wasn't part of this match, he would have assumed she wasn't interested and never would have called her again, because it's very strange when someone's not making eye contact with you, right? So what I did was I called her up, and it turns out that she liked him so much that she's very shy, and that when she's nervous, she has a hard time making eye contact. So I shared that with him, and I coached her and helped her to figure out how to look him in the eye next time. And it's been 2 years and they're still together. So that's a perfect example of how you can help people who would have had a simple misunderstanding and never connected. That story makes me happy.
This happens quite often. I feel.
From Brittany, I tend to make a lot of plans and then always bail right before. Is that just because I really don't actually want to date anyone at all?
I had two clients get stood up in the last week, actually.
Oh my God.
No, not for my matchmaking, but they were coaching clients.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yep. And one of them, they didn't solidify a time, and he was supposed to call her. I always say, like, when you're on the phone with someone, solidify a place, a date, and a time, and then have him confirm in the morning. But they didn't solidify a time, and then, it was getting later and later in the day, and she wanted to know if she should text him. Oh my God, hi. Well, that's distracting. And he's so cute. And so anyways, I told her not to call him or text him because I really wanted to see what this guy was about. And he just never called. He was a total no-show, which, you know, freed her up to spend her time and energy on somebody who knows how to treat people. But it happens sometimes.
So, for Brittany specifically, you know, sometimes people tend to overthink things, you know, so, you know, maybe you're overthinking or overprocessing information, and maybe you're thinking too much about the fact that, you know, maybe you're thinking too much whether you can see yourself with this person long term. And that's something that a lot of people do, is they almost see themselves with this person, date them, marry them, and divorce them before they even ever meet.
That's
Right.
Because that over processing can be the primary reason why maybe you're not meeting all the people that you're making plans with. So I guess my advice to you would be maybe stop overthinking things, or maybe just have fun and look at each opportunity or each date as an opportunity to just meet somebody new and have fun and try to find out what you really like and don't like about them.
Yeah. But I wonder, but I wonder what's happening if people are really standing her up. I mean, what impression are you making when you're setting up the date? Do you sound excited to meet them? Are you making them seem like, you know, you're kind of not really into it? I'm just curious.
Right. She said, ha, 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 that sounds right. This will never work anyway. I'm just not going. So yeah, that's actually it. You know, so sometimes it's like, I call them game strategists. I don't know where that came from, but you know, when you play chess, it's a game strategy. You need to look at like the next 10 moves before you make your move, so you can predict what's going to happen, you know, 10 moves from now. So people are game strategists when they date. They're too busy thinking about, okay, I'm going to go on this first date, and I already know that I don't like the ocean, and he lives near the ocean. He probably likes the beach, and I can already tell he's a bike rider. I sit on the couch. I love TV. So they're already foreseeing or forecasting the outcome of this date before they even went out with somebody. So my advice would be just have fun. And again, look at that opportunity as an opportunity to just meet somebody new.
Yeah, I want to give Evan a shout out. Evan Markatz made this great analogy. He said that a lot of daters, especially women, it's like you want to find out how the book ends. And so you go to the end of the book, which actually ruins all the fun. That it's okay to be on chapter 1 and just read chapter 1 and be really present in chapter 1 without worrying about chapters 7, 8, 9, 10 and the ending, because there's really, you think you can tell if you're going to end up with someone. Maybe you're sizing them up, but there's no way to know. And also it ruins the date because you're interviewing them. You're asking, you're qualifying the buyer instead of just having fun with somebody, you know, being playful and having a good time. You don't need to figure it all out in one date.
Wait a second. I'm reading her comments. Maybe I'm not reading. I put on my glasses so I can read them. And it says that she's bailing. So she's not even getting to chapter 1 to even read the end. So why is she bailing? Why is she having this fear? And that's the thing. You have to get over the fear of what the outcome is. You just have to trust that you're going to just be there and meet that person. And there's nothing, you don't have to do anything beyond that. Just be respectful of that person and be present.
Right. And also, yes.
You'll have a chapter 2 and a 3 and a happy ending in the end. But if you don't get to chapter 1, nothing's happening.
And also, you don't have to make any decisions. I mean, you don't have to go on the date and think, is this the person that I want to marry? All you have to do is figure out, is this somebody that I want to see again? That's it. Okay. So when you're going out, just be, like you said, just be present and listen to that gut, that feeling right here, right there on your body. That's it. That's the spot. Pay attention to the way that you feel, how it feels inside. And I always say the feeling of like a real connection should be a combination of excitement, like attraction, and feeling like you've arrived at home. Just you should feel so comfortable. It shouldn't be that roller coaster feeling of feeling uncomfortable. It should feel really good and excited. That's when my people get married eventually, that's what I hear after the first date, that's how they felt. And I'm always like, all right, we're good here. I know they're going to put their memberships on freeze and we're good to go with a long-term relationship, hopefully marriage. That's what they report.
Yeah, like I always say that the right relationship feels like chocolate chip cookies, like warm chocolate chip cookies and your favorite pair of jeans. It's just so comfortable. You know, you can totally be yourself. And I just read her comments again. She's the one who's bailing before the date.
Yeah.
So,
right.
One thing I wanted to say was you have to have the right attitude. Your attitude is the foundation for everything in dating. You have to have faith that there's someone out there and that you're going to meet someone great. If you go into this with a negative attitude, nothing good can happen.
You know, it's always good to like just have a moment of meditation before you go out. Just sit really quietly with yourself and just do some, just 5 breaths in and out. There you go, Michelle. You got it. Just a little moment. And just get present with who you are and your intention for the evening should just be, I'm just going to go and meet another human being in this world and just see if we have any kind of soul connection. That's it. And the worst that comes to worse is you meet somebody new and you find out about somebody's life. It doesn't have to be everything. Just sort of downplay it.
I also think it really comes down to the circumstance. Like, how are you meeting these people, and why are you bailing? So, you know, I always believe that actions speak louder than words. So your words are, okay, let's get together, let's go on a date. Yes, I'll go on a date with you. But your actions are, I'm bailing, I'm not going to go out with you. So, you know, you asked me the initial question, does this actually mean that I just don't want to date at all? Maybe you don't want to date at all. Maybe you're not ready.
Right.
And that's okay too. Sometimes, you know, sometimes we believe that we're actually making an effort to meet someone by setting up dates, but then if you're never actually meeting them, you're really not doing anything at all, I guess. So it could just stem from the fact that you're not ready to meet someone right now. That's okay too.
Yeah.
And Brittany, talk to a coach. We can help you.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you haven't been successful in the past, it's probably because either of the choices you've made or the strategy you've used. And that's why we're here. A matchmaker or a dating coach can give you a new strategy and can help you do things differently. A lot of people are convinced that, you know, there's nobody out there who's commitment minded, or there's nobody out there who's a quality person. And it's just basically because maybe the people you've met in the past weren't the right kind of people. But I really believe in having the right strategy, and consistently using that strategy can change everything. So, you know, if you try something different and maybe get some help trying something different, I'm pretty positive you're going to have a completely different experience. I mean, I work with the woman whose wedding I went to this weekend. I mean, she had bad relationship after bad relationship. And when I met her in her initial meeting, she was crying and said to me, I don't even know if you can help me. And I was at her wedding, you know, Saturday. So sometimes getting some help, you know, whether it's reading a book or going to a blog or hiring a matchmaker or a dating coach, it's not working. Whatever you're doing is not working. But I really do believe that this is a wonderful time to date. There are so many resources, and there's so many great people out there. You just have to have the right strategy.
There really are.
And a very good attitude.
I agree. And really what you want to do, I always tell this to people when they come into my office to sit down for just a 1-hour consultation, is what you really need to do to meet people. And I don't know what our audience looks like tonight, is you really need to change up everything. It's not just one thing. You need to create larger networks. So I always recommend people go to meetup.com. And it's it's a free site, and you can type in any interest that you have, whether it be dining out or movies or trivia, whatever. I had somebody get married from going to a trivia night that I suggested to them, and start expanding your networks. A lot of times people have a lot of married friends, they've got kids and whatnot. And, you know, you need to find wing women, wing men, whatever. So bring a really simple calling card with you to these meetups and hand them out to people, get their information, text them and say, hey, I'm going to go to this meetup next week. Do you want to go with me? Like, start creating more of a cadre of friends and networks, and everybody knows somebody who's single. So it's very easy, right. But you have got to get off the couch. If you really want to meet somebody, you need to get off the couch. You need to create a larger network, and you need to put yourself out there. It really needs to be kind of like a second job, but enjoy it. Like, it's fun. Go ahead.
Hire a matchmaker. You can stay on the couch.
Hire a matchmaker.
You can hire a matchmaker.
Wait, Lisa, how did you meet your husband? Tell everybody. I'm putting you on the spot.
I met my husband online on Match.com.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I helped her write her profile.
She did. She told me, oh my gosh, Michelle told me, because I never dated online. I had been married for 18 years and then found myself single with 3 teen children, and thought, oh my gosh, what is this dating world? And I didn't want to get started writing this profile, and I sent it to Michelle, and she's like, this is the worst profile I've ever read.
Ever. She started talking about the fact that she was an accountant, and she went all into being an accountant. And I was like, oh, that's so hot. That's sexy. No offense to accountants, but no. So
I'm married to an accountant.
Michelle changed my life. She showed me the light.
Thank you, sweetie.
And she did. She
That's
taught
so
me
funny.
how to date online successfully. She taught me how to write a profile, and I learned, and now I teach the same thing to others. But I went online successfully with an action plan. I knew I wanted to, when I was ready, because I dated. Before I went online, I dated. I had fun because, I'm married 18 years. So, but when I was really ready to be serious and committed and find that monogamous relationship, I went online and I had a plan of getting on daily. And I messaged people who wrote me respectful comments and worth my time to respond to. And I got out on lots of dates, and I gave people, whether most of them were not for me, but I met nice people. I went out, I respected their time, I thanked them. And there were some times it's like we totally knew we weren't a match. I said, well, maybe if I know somebody for you, I'll let you know. And if you know somebody for me.
You were being a matchmaker before you were even a matchmaker. I wanted to say one thing about online dating, Lisa, because it's true. Online dating is a great tool, but it's a lot of work and a lot of time and a very big commitment. And that's, most of my matchmaking clients are people who can find a match on their own, but they're very busy and they want someone out there vetting matches for them and picking out someone specifically for them. So, I'm a matchmaker who actually likes online dating. I just think you have to have the time and the energy and the strategy to do it right. Otherwise, it can be a big time suck and it can be very frustrating. So if you're somebody who has the time, energy, and wants to learn a great strategy, maybe, do it on your own or give it a shot. But if you don't want to date online and you don't want to invest that time every single day and going on all those dates, that's when you think about hiring a matchmaker, I think. Yeah. Do you guys want to wrap it up, or are you having fun? You want to keep going for a little while?
Yeah, I need to wrap it.
I know there's a question about San Francisco.
So Brittany, if you want to, is it Brittany?
I have a database in San Francisco that I have access to. So I basically focus on California, but of course, with your help, and of course, I have access to a database nationally. So I could match in DC or Boston or DC, but of course, I'd rather send them to you, Michelle.
Tell her how to email you.
You can just reach me at Felix, that's Felix, at matchmakingvip.com. Of course, on Twitter, you can message me at Mr. Matchmaker. And or just go to my website, matchmakingvip.com, and you can just fill out the little contact form and just say that you were on this blab, and I'll hook you up.
He'll hook you up. So before we go, I just want to make sure, I want to ask everyone who's watching and everyone who's watching on the replay, who's going to be watching, follow us on Blab. We're all brand new. This is our first Blab, and I think it's gone really well, all things considered. I don't know how I'm going to turn it off. I don't know what button to push, but so you can follow me at MJ Love Coach. You can follow Lisa at SB Matchmaking. You can follow Louie at Mr. Matchmaker, and you can follow Lori at Carolina's Match. And tweet this out to your followers. And should we all say goodbye? And we'll do this again sometime really soon.
We do.
I just want to say I am not a big tweeter, even though that was like a big tweet for me earlier.
Are you tweet deficient?
There you go.
I just don't do a lot of tweeting. But if you want to get in touch with me, Lisa at SB Matchmaking, or I do Facebook. Those are better ways for me.
Yeah, Facebook is great.
Yeah. I'm on every social media, everything at MJ Love Coach. So yeah, if you guys want to find us, you can find us. Lisa's in Santa Barbara. Louis is in LA, Lori is in Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm in DC, and we just wish you guys so much love and happiness. That's why we do what we do. We make love every single day, right, girls? And Louis?
Love you. Thank you, everybody. This was fun.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. And thank you for everyone for watching. We really appreciate it.
This was really fun. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.